Hi everyone, welcome back to the Divine Feminine Energy channel. My name is Lynn and I'm so glad to see you here. In today's video, I want to share a little bit more of my own experience with going through a spiritual awakening and going through ascension symptoms and how these things have really changed my physical appearance and my physical body. So when I went through my own spiritual awakening or I went through my ascension symptoms, I could mostly find YouTube videos or people talking about spiritual awakening. You're shedding emotionally, you're shedding mentally, right? Like you have to let go of all the old feelings or old thought patterns and beliefs. Yet there was a bit of a gap in the market, in my opinion, when it came to people talking about the physicality of spiritual awakening, what it does to one's physical body, what it does to one's appearance. And I felt like that's something that was so huge for me in my spiritual awakening. Everything I went through was so physical as well. And I thought it would be interesting to just talk about it from my own perspective, from my own experiences, what I went through. So I want to share with you guys a little bit about like my physical experience before my spiritual awakening and the relationship with my body and my appearance at that time. And I'm not just talking about superficial appearance as in this is what I look like, but kind of how my unawakened self impacted my body and appearance. And then I'm going to talk you guys through a little bit of what happened during my spiritual awakening and heavy ascension period of my life and how that influenced the body and the appearance and the physicality of my life. And after, now that I feel a lot more integrated and grounded in this new, more awakened vessel of myself and how this avatar shows up differently than the previous ones. So before I went through my spiritual awakening, and I don't mean a like trauma dump, but I am going to be talking about some things that could be triggering for some people. So if that's something you don't want to hear, kindly sign off. So I went through my spiritual awakening, like a big one, around 20 years old. And I went through it for like a very intense amount of time, for like 3 years straight on. I went through awakening and ascending and constant upgrades in my energy field. Like it was a lot. So before that, I, in my physical body, had always struggled a lot with eating. And this is something that I feel like even translates back to my own origins. Like even as a child, I had trouble eating enough and I was always incredibly thin and skinny, and I'm still not the biggest, but you know, when I was younger, it was really a problem. And around puberty, I did develop an eating disorder, and that was something within my physical body, like just it was hard for me to take care of it. It was hard for me to listen to what it needed, to nutrition. And I even think it was hard for me to be grounded physically. It was just hard for me, like food, exercise, all these things are a matter of like being grounded as well, right? And that was really hard for me before my spiritual awakening. And because I was also obviously a lot of times right before we spiritually awaken, it's one of the more tough points in our lives. And for me, I was struggling a lot mentally. I was going through depression, anxiety, and the physicality of that definitely manifested as me struggling with eating, because not eating was also for me like a sense of control. Like I am not feeling great. I don't feel like I know what to do with myself. So not eating to me almost became a bit of wanting to have something to control. I also have heard different people who went through their own spiritual awakenings, right? With maybe starting off either with a very different body type, like having more weight, and through their spiritual awakening losing weight, or people that were like me, where you were too skinny or in an unhealthy energy, and through your spiritual awakening you learn to ground yourself in your physical body and heal that. So for me, definitely a massive thing was my eating disorder that went, that my spiritual awakening did help me heal that. Alongside my struggles with eating, I was also really prone to addiction of substances. So for me, it was weed. I grew up, basically, I studied in Amsterdam. Like, I was at university in Amsterdam. So basically, next to my university, there was like a cannabis shop, right? Like, it's so normalized here. At every corner on the street that you go to, you can get it. And it's not illegal. You can get it. You can smoke it. I made the wrong friends. I was constantly around people that were in that world. And yeah, that was another thing that my unawakened self was constantly looking for something to numb out my own sensitivities and my own hypersensitive experience of this world, right? So for me, weed was something that I became highly addicted to, like smoking at least a gram a day, like just basically being stoned throughout the whole week. That sounds like a fart, but it is construction work and I have no idea what they're doing. Anyway, so that was something I became addicted to as well. And it kind of mended in with me struggling to eat, because if you smoke weed, sometimes it can mean that you have more appetite, but if you do it for a long time, it actually means that you get less of an appetite. So yeah, the weed component, it was suppressing, constant suppressing of the real experience that I was having in this world, like my real sensitivities, and it completely blocked me off to that component of me. And that obviously felt a lot more safe, because I was not yet comfortable with being a highly sensitive woman or person in an environment where I had to do and conform to, things that weren't in alignment with me. And the weed, for me, was almost like disassociative. Like, it was just like, now I'm not feeling that anyway, so I just keep doing things high and I'll be all right, which obviously wasn't the case. I also developed a lot of like body dysmorphia, like all these things. Obviously, maybe it sounds like a bit much to talk about, but what I'm trying to portray here is the dissonance, the disassociation with the physical body, like not eating well, constantly being high. And then on top of that, I developed very bad body dysmorphia as well. Like, I just could not see myself clearly at all. I genuinely do believe I've always been liked for my looks, so to say, but I couldn't see that. Like, I couldn't phantom my physicality before my spiritual awakening at all. Like, I was not able to see myself clearly. I did not like to see myself, and I just constantly was seeking, what is this? I swear to God, when I'm filming and the body dysmorphia aspect of that just really manifested in a sense that I have always been incredibly sensitive as well to appearances. I'm a Libra rising, so for me, like, everything within me, like like just basically how I present myself needs to be pretty. Like, I have always cared about being how I looked. And maybe that sounds superficial, but it is the truth. I always cared about it way too deeply. And the thing is that before my spiritual awakening, I think this manifested as well as like extremes with my body. So extremes as in, like I said, like my relationship to food became very extreme. It became like almost a game to me. Like, let's see how many days I can go without eating just for fun, or let's see how high I can get when I have to do my exams. And with the body dysmorphia, for me was like, okay, I had like extensions and like incredibly heavy makeup. And again, I think I looked great. Like, don't get me wrong, I looked good, but the underlying energy behind it before I was awakened was kind of like an escape. Like, I want to be someone else. Like, I'm not really comfortable in this body. So let me change everything about it that I feel like I have control over. So even it seems simple, and I'm not saying people who have extensions or who wear something different than their natural self are like what I went through. But I'm saying, like, for me, there was a pattern in that. I did it because I wasn't really comfortable with my natural self at all. And yeah, I also felt like I was in a very separation mindset type of energy. So it was, for me, it was always like, it's me against the world, or the world is against me. I hate people. I hate everyone. And yeah, don't come near me. Like, really, like, I would put myself in that box. Like, the world doesn't get me. I'm not a part of this world. Who cares if I live or die? Like, very intense. Say, like, that separation mindset of like the world's against me or I'm against the world. Also, and like not really caring what I would do to my body or where I would end up. Like, just not having enough connection to the body and connection to hope, or knowing that I would need to go through certain lessons to get, stronger and to actually help me grow. I think that dissonance also for me started to become almost like a fashion expression as well. Like, everything had to go dark. Like, my hair had to go black. I had to wear like any type of intense makeup or constant black outfits. Like, I had to go full emo. My physical appearance went full emo. And it's interesting because I think my personality, I definitely have a touch of that. I have a touch of this deeply melancholic, intense energy, even in how I look right now. But I guess I suppress the light within me, the light feminine energy that's basically more of how I present myself nowadays. So yeah, I completely kind of dressed in a way of being against everything and everyone. And again, I'm not saying people that dress like that necessarily had the mentality that I had, but for me, it was definitely a rebellious thing. Like, I wanted to dress in ways that my family did not allow, because I come from very traditional family. And yeah, I also did it a little bit on purpose. Like, watch me, dye my hair black and wear the ripped jeans and do something that I know you wouldn't like for me to look like this, because you don't freaking get me anyway. You don't know what I'm going through anyway, so I might as well just look this way. Who even cares? Like, for me, it was very much a rebelling thing. And I think before my awakening as well, like, because I was so disassociated and disconnected from the body, I got sick quite often, even ever since I was a child. My body was very prone to getting like sick. Like, any type of flu or thing that went around, I was always the first one to catch it. And yeah, I think that's another element of what happened, what's very different from how I am now, how I got sick very often, but at the same time, I could push my body through a lot more. So it was like, yeah, I got sick often and I was going through a lot physically and disassociated. But because I was disassociated, I was also able to do things a lot more than I am now. Like in a sense of like, push myself over my limits and just keep going if I didn't feel well. Like I'm not able to do that anymore today. And I was before my awakening. Something that also happened for me is like, I would give you guys some pictures. Like I lost so much hair, partly because of how badly I was treating it, but also malnutrition and stuff like that. Like my hair was so impacted, probably the most impacted by my mental state. And yeah, I also had worse skin. I don't know if I have good pictures of that, but it was very visible in my skin as well, that the things that I was going through mentally, spiritually, physically at this time. So then I went through my spiritual awakening. I think I was 19, 20, and I can make separate videos on like the events that lead up to this, but that's not really what this video is going to be about. So I went through my spiritual awakening. Basically, when we go through our spiritual awakening, it's mostly a point in our lives that we hit like a new low, but till such an extent that the things that we used to cling on to, they fall away, and we are basically forced to be by ourselves, to heal. Like everything external that we clung on to falls away, and here we are by ourselves. So for me, I clung on to a lot of these friends that were also into, having their own mental problems, into weed or partying or something along those lines. And in a matter of a month, my whole friend group fell away. And I used to be at university studying linguistics, and that fell away too. Like everything systematic as well fell away. And I was there obviously struggling a lot with my mental health and everything. And I went through my big spiritual awakening. And I think how this impacted my body, I don't even know if I can talk about all that in one video. But I think through my spiritual awakening, and mind you, I spiritually awakened for 3 years, like heavy spiritual awakening. And for at least 2 years of those 3 years, I was not able to do much. I was incredibly lethargic. I had to sleep a lot. I was not able to do much. In my physical appearance, my body went into like a cocoon phase. I was basically spending my days sleeping, resting, learning how to take care of myself, crying, and being very anxious, if I'm honest with you guys, because all of what I had to heal, I had to go through. And there were so many layers of repressed anxiety, repressed sadness, all of that. And my body was in constant shedding mode. So yeah, in my spiritual awakening, man, I was sleeping. Like I already sleep 10 hours a day because I just need a lot of sleep. And that was 10 hours. I need to take naps on top of that. Like my body was forcing me to rest. This is when I did start my channel, but I started my channel with tarot also a little later on, like a year in my spiritual awakening, because I wanted answers. I wanted a community. I felt alone. And that's when I started to learn about like I'm having psychic powers and all that. But to tell you honestly, my physical body, my physical appearance, I started to grow out my natural hair again. Again, I don't have the thickest hair, but this is the most natural it's ever been when it comes to the length. I did dye it though. I started to grow out my hair. I started to see my acne clear, and I started to reconnect to my physical body. And for me, this was like doing some very light working out. Okay, in my spiritual awakening, I could not go to the gym or do something intense. My body was not ready for that yet. If you're shedding so much spiritually, then you cannot put your body through intense exhaustion. So every time I would do too much, I would literally feel so much anxiety or so lethargic, like my body was like, no. So in my spiritual awakening, I started to do yoga. I started to do walks. I had to walk and get grounded almost every day because of how ungrounded I was. I think it was a very beneficial time though, because I learned to reconnect to my body, right? Like I started to eat in a little bit of healthier ways. And for me, healthier ways, it was not about doing my green juice and vegetables. It was just about eating normally and changing the relationship I had to food, which allowed me to get a little bit more grounded and doing all my mental and emotional work and shedding as well. But physically, yeah, starting to slowly get back into the body and listen to it. And I went through a lot of ascension symptoms in my spiritual awakening. So basically, I went through a light body ascension in my spiritual awakening. I think about a year into my spiritual awakening. So I went through a lot of my chakras, like opening, like constant crown chakra pressure and upgrades. And I can talk about this in a separate video, but that was intense. Like I was pushed to sleep a lot and not do a lot at all because I was constantly upgrading. And when you're going through those type of things, I found like a video of someone who explained it very well. So basically, if you're ascending, so if you're really also physically, your physical body is ascending, you're changing into a new avatar, you're changing into a lighter physical body. So the body I have now, it's like the process that's happening is that your DNA, basically like the old frequency from your DNA is shedding, meaning like there were a lot of muscle aches. There was a lot of like almost feverish energy, but it wasn't a fever, and constant, yeah, just body like discomfort, as that old DNA, the old frequency was literally shedding out of my physical body, and I was making room for the new frequency to enter my physical body, turning me into a more light body. So again, this is a separate video. If you guys want to know more about that, please let me know because I have so much to share. But yeah, also my appearance, my style in my spiritual awakening was not my priority. I just went more natural. I learned to embrace more of my natural beauty and yeah, comfort over everything. But I did slowly start to dress more light. I started to dress in lighter colors and I dyed my hair blonde, and I started to become a little bit more of my light feminine energy, which I believe, and it's different for everyone, but for me, that's kind of my divine feminine, my light feminine is kind of my soul, like most dominant in my soul. And I also have dark feminine energy just like everyone else. It's not necessarily what I always tend to lead with. And I think for about 7-8 months now, I feel like I'm at the integrated physicality of myself. So I don't get that many ascension symptoms anymore. I finally feel more grounded in my body. And yeah, what's changed for me in regards to how I now am physically? Quite a lot. This physical body, first of all, I don't get sick that often anymore. Like this last week, like my whole family got pneumonia. I was not. I didn't catch a thing. I definitely still get my own lethargic energy here and there, but I have so much more energy. And I definitely see so much change in that, because as a child and before, I would always catch whatever little sickness was in the air, I would catch it. And that's just not the case anymore, because I've learned to really take care of my body. So every time my immune system is fighting something off, I can feel it. I can allow myself to rest, eat well, and kind of, so far, really fight it off. And just the overall energy level. So for me right now, in the new physical body, I go to the gym like 4 times a week, and I need to move. I need to be in the body. And I kind of like reconnect to the physical body in such a way that, those energy levels have come back. And most of the time, I just feel like very awake and very vibrant. And of course, it depends if I'm shedding something maybe here and there, but shedding now is maybe 10%. When I went through my spiritual awakening and ascension, shedding was like 80% of what I was doing. And now it's only 10%. So every now and then, every maybe 5 months, I would go through some sort of shedding. And I have become a lot more muscular. You may not see it in my body type because I'm still lanky and tall like I have always been. But I've become a lot more muscular, a lot more strong in my body, seeking like weight training and different type of workouts, because that's how my energy now gets to be. Like I now get to pursue those things because my energy levels have come back. And the relationship to food has been a massive thing, because now I would say I still am sensitive to appearance and food. So I can still find myself, if I do go through feeling anxious or going through something, I still don't want to eat, because my body still has an association with, some people do binge eating when they go through something. I would not be able to get a bite through my stomach. That was the response that my body had and still can have if I'm going through something. But the awareness of food and the relationship to food changed a lot. So even if I go through little episodes of that, I get to recorrect it. I get to be like, okay, within an hour or an hour later, I get to have something. And I now know how to take care of that part of myself that's sensitive to that has those food sensitivities. Or I still have, in a way, I still struggle every now and then with my body dysmorphia as well. But it's a lot less, because I feel like I have been able to look at that relationship with my body differently. Like I'm still vain as fuck, but I'm able to send a lot more light and love to the body that I have now, and embrace who I am and what I look like a lot more than I used to. So as much as all those things are incredibly positive, I would say the majority of it is positive, I would like to share the thing that I think I've struggled with the most in being in this more awakened self is that I cannot really do anything anymore that goes against how I'm feeling. So when you're not awakened yet and you're not feeling great, or you can kind of suppress it, right? And you can kind of get on with it. And I have really felt like within my current state, like if I don't feel like doing something, if I don't have and I'm not saying there's no discipline, but let's say like I would not be able to work a job that I'm not able to feel emotionally connected with. I'm not able to stick in a situation that I'm not connected with. Like everything, my whole body, my whole energy rejects it. And that's obviously a good thing, but sometimes that can be hard because we still live in a world that the system is still built on people that are unawakened. So for me, like when I have to go somewhere and the system is still so different from how I operate, I can get a lot of anxiety. I can feel very sensitive. So I would definitely say I am, even in my awakened self, I'm maybe even sometimes more sensitive or more anxious. But now I have learned what the body is telling me when it shows up. But that has been hard because after awakening, after ascending, like being in a room and someone's sad, I feel it in my heart. Being out in a large crowd, like I have to detox for like 2 to 3 days because of how much energy I pick up on and how aware of it I am now. I probably did it before, but I wasn't aware of it, so I shrugged it off. And that's something I'm not able to do anymore in my more ascended body. Like I pick up on everything and I need to deal with everything. I cannot really repress anything down anymore. Any emotion, any pattern is just going to be shown in front of my face. And it's just like, deal with me. And I'm like, leave me alone. So yeah, I guess that's what I have for you guys. And I'm so curious to hear about your own experiences and if there's anything about this that resonates with you. I also want you guys to know that I am available for coaching. So if these are things you're going through and you're looking for someone who's been through it themselves to work with, you can book with me. There's even a discount code for you down below. Or if you want to join my manifestation program throughout the month of February, we're doing the Lover Girl Era manifestation program where we're manifesting romance, friendships, or business partnerships. And it's going to be so interesting, and you'll get more readings, subliminals, all types of things. And it's available on Patreon. So I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, have a great day. Bye.